I will now turn to Ranking Member Durbin for the question portion.
Thank you very much, Chair Britt. And thank you, Judge Traynor, for being with us. And thank you to your family and friends for showing their support. Judge, you were a contributing author and signatory of a letter to Columbia University criticizing the university's response to protests on campus following Hamas' October 7th attack on Israel. In that letter, you vowed not to hire anyone who joins the Columbia University community, beginning with the entering class of 2024. Yet, in denying a recusal motion in Thunderhawk versus County of Morton, which was brought by the Columbia Law School Initiative for a Just Society, you said, quote, "I reaffirm my lack of bias toward any student or Columbia faculty or initiatives of its law school." With all due respect, Judge, this statement seems contradictory, stating at one point that you would not hire anyone from Columbia, and second, that you have no bias against those from Columbia. Can you explain?
Senator, the letter was targeted and directed to the president of Columbia University. And the reason why is because there were Jewish students who had enrolled in the educational system at Columbia and were having to shelter in place. The administration, some of the professors, were engaging in the conduct of trespassing, violent conduct, and making these students feel that they could not obtain an education. I'm a former member of the North Dakota Board of Higher Education. It is important that when students are able to be educated, that they have the opportunity to pursue that education. That type of conduct was not being appropriately handled, and it was, as described in the letter, a cauldron of bias that was being promoted on that campus. And so that's why I signed on to the letter.
You've explained why you signed the letter. Can you explain why you reversed your position?
Senator, I don't believe that I reversed my position. What I stated in the recusal order with regard to an application from some, I believe they were graduates of Columbia, that I don't hold a bias against graduates of Columbia. I don't hold a bias against people who attend the institution. The purpose of the letter was to do what the little one can do as a federal judge.
So you're saying you wouldn't hire them because they're from Columbia and this conduct, and then saying you have no bias against Columbia. I don't follow that.
Senator, these lawyers had graduated from Columbia long ago. They were in practice, and as a result, the boycott of the letter that I signed on to did not apply to them.
I'm not a graduate of Columbia, but I'm still troubled trying to understand your logic. You volunteered to hear habeas petitions from immigrants who were rounded up as part of Operation Metro Surge, the notorious ICE action in Minneapolis that led to the deaths of 2 innocent individuals. Around the country, the Trump administration has detained tens of thousands of immigrants, 85% of them without any criminal records. Overwhelmingly, district court judges appointed by both Republicans and Democrats have held that mandatory detention is illegal and unconstitutional. According to Politico's analysis, judges have ruled against the Trump administration's policy of mandatory detention more than 10,000 times, and even a majority of Trump-appointed judges have ruled against the administration's position. You are an extreme outlier on this issue, which you've even acknowledged in several of your opinions. In your opinions, you embrace the Trump position that it can detain any immigrant without a bond hearing, no matter how long they've been in the United States, and even if they have no criminal history. Why did you volunteer to preside over these cases in Minnesota? And in light of your embrace of the Trump administration's position, even when judges have ruled against the administration policy more than 10,000 times, why should we feel or have confidence you could be a neutral arbiter when it comes to presiding over challenges to the Trump administration action?
Senator, I volunteered to help in Minnesota because I was previously licensed in Minnesota. I was previously assigned to handle a case and actually conducted a trial in the District of Minnesota. And when North Dakota was down to 1 federal district judge judges from throughout the country, including many from Minnesota, were very helpful in handling matters that were pending in the District of North Dakota. And so that's why I signed up.
But the bottom line on the issue of habeas corpus, the issue of detention, why is it you're such an outlier when it comes to Trump policy?
Senator, I reviewed the law. I felt that the administration was acting within their limits, and I made my decision. I based it on the law, and I also based it upon what I expected the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals would do. And indeed, the position that I took and the ruling that I made was upheld by the Eighth Circuit.